Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to fill in your brows using brow pomade. Let's get started and I hope you enjoy this video. First, I grab my spoolie and start brushing my brows so that they look neat, so I have a nice straight brow to work with. Then I get my e.l.f. brow pomade. I prefer to use the shade light brown so that my brows aren't too dark. This is what the shade looks like. It's not that light when I apply it on my face, but it's a good shade for me. I start off by using my e.l.f. angled brush. It also has a spoolie on the end, and I dip it in the brow pomade. So when I do my brows, I start about like 1/4 or like in the middle of my brow. I don't like to start in the very beginning of my brow. The way I do my brows are already dramatic and bold enough, so if I start in the beginning, it'll make my brows look really harsh and really dark. Then I get some more brow pomade and I apply it to the top of my brow and the middle of my brow as well, just like I did on the bottom. And don't forget to drag your brush to the tail of your brow. Same thing when you apply the brow pomade to the bottom, don't forget to drag the brush to the tail of your brow as well. Now, without re-dipping my brow pomade, I get the excess brow pomade on my brush and I just lightly brush it to the front of my brow. Right here, I'm focusing on the bottom of my front brow, and then I get my spoolie and I brush it out. I blend it out, starting from the middle, and I blend it towards the front. I am also filming on my camera, so I apologize if the video gets out of focus in some clips. Now you move on to the other brow, but I will still walk you through the steps again. But start in the middle of the brow and work your way towards the tail of the brow. Then move the brush to the top of your brow and start lining right there. Also, like on the bottom of the brow, work your way down the tail of the brow. Also, remember to use a light hand. If you need an idea of what a light hand should feel like, imagine you have a feather and you're lightly brushing it on your face. That should be what a light hand feels like. But do you see that little line in the front of my brow? Yeah, make a little tiny line in the front of your brow with the excess on your brush, and then use your spoolie and brush it out so it looks blended. Brush it up, brush it down. Just make sure it looks right. Next, I'm going to use my concealer. I am using the LA Girl Pro Concealer. I personally notice when people use concealers lighter than the shade, it makes the brows pop more for some reason. The lightness of the shade should not be an issue if you use foundation to cover it, but if you're not using foundation, then use a shade that matches your skin tone. Now I grab my concealer and I try to get it as close to my brow as possible on the bottom. When it comes to concealer, make sure you use a good amount. Don't go light with the concealer. The more, the better, honestly, because it'll look more neat. I also personally like to drag the concealer to my other brow so that they can be symmetrical and on the same level. Just like with the brow pomade, also make sure you drag your concealer to the tail of your brow as well. Now I am going to move on to the top of my brows. I start off in the middle of my brow when I apply concealer. Make sure to be really gentle when you apply concealer on the top of your brow because you don't want the concealer to mess up your brow pomade. If you need to start a little above your brow pomade like I am in this clip right here, that's fine because you will be able to blend it down to your actual brow in the next step. When applying concealer on the top of your brow, also make sure to drag it down to your tail as well. Never leave out the tail of your brow. To blend the concealer out, I will also be using this flat brush from e.l.f. This brush is really old. I've had it for such a long time, but it works perfectly for my brows. This is how it should look so far. Now with the brush that I just showed you, I will be blending out my concealer. I start on the bottom of my brow. On the bottom of your brow, brush the brush upward towards any missed spots that you may have missed with the concealer, and then I move on to the top, and then you see how I missed the front of my brow with the concealer. I did that on purpose, and I used the concealer and I just brush it towards that spot, and then I also go towards the tail. If you see the front of my brow that I missed on purpose, I did that. So if I put concealer on that part and I blended it out, it would make my brows look a little too boxy, and that's not what we want. We don't want that harsh boxy look. We want the brows to look bold, but in a natural way. But I'm doing the same thing on my other eye. I am brushing my concealer down on the bottom of my brow. I've said this several times already, but don't forget the tail of your brow. Next, you will see me brushing the concealer that I have in the middle of my brows upwards so that it's a little bit blended. And I'm going to blend the rest of the top of my brow so that it looks nice and blended. And I'm going to go in the front, down, just so it all looks blended together. And I'm going to go to the tail as well. And the quality looks good but in this video, but it's out of focus, and I apologize for that. I am so sorry. But this is me blending my concealer, making sure it all goes together. This is what I ended up with. To make your brows look a little bit natural, you could brush out the front of your brows with your brush without any product on it. Also, without adding any more product to your angle brush, you could just brush it out a little bit really lightly because you don't want to look like you added stuff to it. I'm basically just doing touch-ups. You don't need to do touch-ups unless you feel like you have to. But this is the final result. Please keep in mind that learning how to do brows is a journey. You might not get it right away on your first try, and that is completely okay. Just keep practicing and the hard work will pay off. Be patient with yourself, and I hope you enjoyed my video. 2023 also came, so I want to wish you all a happy new year, and I hope 2023 will be really great to all of us. Bye.